And the magic machine tells me that I'm live. The magic machine tells me that I'm live, and we are here with our erstwhile number one in the live chat, Golden Coin 100, the legendary Golden Coin 100. Baby, catching the fever for the J.Scott Garibay. You know it. Yeah, always back to it. Grabbing that gold medal on YouTube, grabbing that gold medal on Twitch. Folks, the silver medal and bronze are still out there. Jump on it. I've been away for a minute. We've got our work cut out for us. J.Scott Garibay has an hour's worth of material that he has uploaded this morning alone. Hit it and quit it. So if I want to do my service and get out of here and not have another 5-hour stream, I'm going to bring you up to speed. I didn't do work on Friday, didn't cover anything on Friday. So I'm just going to have to tell you what he told us on Friday. I think I may have covered something. I think this was from Friday. He told us that, guess what, members of the LGBTQ community? He specifically talked about the gays. So I don't want to put words in the man's mouth, but as far as I guess straight, no pun intended, I don't know, pun intended, homosexuals, don't worry about it, ladies and gents, and you've made it. You're no longer need to worry about considering yourselves a protected class because J.Scott Garibay figured it out. Because you have a flag, you've made it. You don't need to worry, but people no longer need to worry about talking about us, as kind of, my dad, I think, may have nailed it when he called half an F. Told all the human population that we if you got a flag and you're represented in Hollywood, apparently, then you've made it, and you no longer need to worry about being like kind of in a minority or a minority class. So gays no longer need to be considered like a specialty group, unlike Asians. So I got in the comment section of that video and pointed out, hey, buddy, or if you've got like a month that celebrates you, like Pride Month, like you've got parades and stuff. That was what he said in his video. And I pointed out, well, there is an Asian American Pride Month. So there's that. And I don't know if they got a flag, but he falsified his claims. Anyway, I think that's what we had to cover up and come up with for Friday. I don't know if I missed anything else. On Monday, that's today, that he's got a lot going on for us. I also want to point it out. On Friday, he opened up with, he was on a kick for this bringing back Orion Akaba, and covering him and his coverage of Orion Akaba. We, I think, as a community, kind of really came to understand that it was about personal identification. We found the source material where he definitively said it. He is Orion Akaba. And we nailed down the fact that he had established that, what it was really about was step one. We get Orion Akaba back, not as a guest player, but as a established seat at Critical Role. Step two, having achieved that, the next thing that happens is that the low millions of deaths by American males in the United States, which is deaths of despair, alcoholism, suicide, drug overdose, that many attribute to unemployment, social ennui, economic dissatisfaction, mental health issues. Apparently, it's not that. It's something to do with Orion about not being on Critical Role. They will immediately be cut in half. Orion Akaba being returned to critical role will immediately send a clear message. It will be covered by the New York Times on the front page, and we will immediately see within a couple of months' times millions of American deaths of despair will stop because men will see that redemption is possible. This dovetail into a central theme that J.Scott Garibay has let us know that there is the salvation that's available through Jesus Christ. That's the holy salvation. And if you're not open to that, the next best thing is the to secular people is the salvation that's available to you through Gary Gygax. If you're thinking that it's Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson that gave Dungeons and Dragons to the world, apparently we're mistaken. It was Gary Gygax. I believe that I've made the claim, and I think that I'm satisfying my burdens of proof better than J.Scott Garibay is satisfying his burdens of proof, that J.Scott Garibay's understanding of what is actually in the rule books of Dungeons and Dragons is he sees things that aren't there. He doesn't see things that are there. And his conception of reality is somewhat attenuated, right? And for better or for worse, we are watching his material because he is a fascinating individual. But just because you're a fascinating individual doesn't mean that you're fascinating because you make sense or you're right. But the purpose of these videos is not to mock, demean, or make fun. The purpose of these videos is to have discussions in the marketplace of ideas and to discuss. It is what it is. So without further ado, let's get to what we're here to do. I'll take a quick spin through the live chat. As we say, it's pretty much me and Golden Coin 100, I think, at this point. More steamrolling. Hey. Garibay tells on himself a lot. Yes, they do. This is the truth. It's really quite fascinating. Some people are so unaware of themselves. Lol. Either that or was just given a lot of participation medals in school. I am not I am agnostic as to the value of participation awards. Let's get to the videotape. We've got some stuff to watch. By way of preview, also on Friday, I will tell you this. Apparently, to teach us a lesson, J.Scott Garibay on Friday, his first video, he had been on a tear about this Orion Akaba situation. So his first video on Friday was addressed directly the issue about whether or not he was quote unquote obsessed about this whole Orion Akaba thing. And he definitively said in his very direct style, no, if you think it's not a question of his obsession, it's a question of our ignorance. Again, having had the opportunity through this project to watch a lot of J.Scott Garibay, I would communicate to J.Scott Garibay that his methodology of communication, though he fashions himself as an evangelical Christian, I don't know. It's not for me to say what it is or is not the proper way to behave as a Christian, but he tends to be very dismissive of people who don't agree with him. He tends to be very mean to people who don't agree with him, just, insulting and what have you. And but apparently taught us a lesson. He made a video saying, I'm not obsessed about this. And then the rest of his videos for that day were not about Orion Akaba. And I thought, okay, well, this is like a phooey on me. I guess we're no longer talking about Orion Akaba. But I was going to say, gee, buddy, you had said that you were covering this thing because it was necessary to return Orion Akaba to the critical role table, because doing so would have the natural corollary effect of cutting the deaths of despair amongst American males, which occurs in the low millions, according to J.Scott Garibay, in approximately half. So I would say, hey, why would you give that up just because people are accusing you of being obsessed with it? But I didn't want to be involved in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. So, whatever. But then don't worry, folks. He's going to tell us more about why he made 2 more videos, I think, today about what do we got? I got the list here. The first vid was Orion Okaba. Then we have American politics, which is great. The American politics one we have to get to. Oh, the Orion Okaba video, I think, is a direct message to me. There's 2 Orion Okaba videos, 2 American politics videos, where he says some amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Oh, we have 3 Orion Okaba videos, and we have another video about D&D. He claims it's about D&D, but it's really about Black Mirror, which will allow us to understand, again, more insight into this whole thing about how J.Scott Garibay defines things as being how things become D&D canon. There's got to be there's people who have better insight into the ramifications of mental health than me. I'm not a qualified mental health professional, but there are people who do know, really, the nuts and bolts of it, who will be able to tell us what it is exactly Scott has. You know what I mean? Because he's definitely, you know what I mean? Hey, I'm neurodivergent. I'm not making fun of anybody. But there's definitely a word for what this thing is where you don't make a distinction between things. Basically, let me get my headphones here. Basically, the situation is, if anything has been tangentially connected to D&D in any way, shape, or form, then it becomes D&D canon, right? Like, okay, here's Ginger from Gilligan's Island, right, as a Funko Pop. Because there are D&D Funko Pops, Ginger from Gilligan's Island, and by extension, Gilligan's Island itself, is now canon to D&D. It would be explicitly so in the world of J.Scott Garibay if there is, and I assume there might be, a Gilligan's Island Lego set. Everything that ever appeared as a Lego set, according to J.Scott Garibay, is also canonically D&D. Anything that has ever appeared as a part of a Magic the Gathering set, which would include Warhammer 40K, obviously Lord of the Rings, Transformers, I think we're in Magic the Gathering, is also canon to D&D. Of course, that's not how it works. But why get ahead of ourselves? Why ruin it? Let's just do the whole share screen. We got Tim Frey with us as well. Tim Frey. Oh, folks, don't forget, if you like what we're doing here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Take a look in the description box below. Many other ways to support. Hey. Why not? Engagement, why not? Here we go. So the first one up is Critical Role, lead Matthew Mercer, must return legendary player Orion Okaba, in my humble opinion. Comment, problem. I think this is someone made a comment on one of his videos. He's going to analyze it in multiple parts, okay? These videos might be a little bit out of order. We're gonna do the best we can. Let's see what we do. Here we go. Present. Share screen. Do. Here we go. This one. Bickety bam. Let's go.
This is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about a very special comment I got on an Orion Okaba video. We're going to talk about the comment. The comment said, so what alternative did Matthew have to taking over Tiberius? I feel Orion was a problematic player. Now, you can see the full comment in and actually, so that's not the full comment. Sorry, that's not the full comment, but that's the part I want to talk about today. I'm going to break. My plan is to break down literally every single like segment of this comment. It was a comment of the week. It was a brilliant comment, and he was like, "Hey, you're saying that." So one of the things I really cannot thank you guys enough for is listening to this playlist and coming in and engaging with this question. And
Here we
that's
go.
the point of
This
this. I
list
want
is a good
conversation. I
one.
want engagement, and I really appreciate people who are coming in and commenting with as good faith actors, and I really appreciate that. Right? That's incredibly it's not
fair use, fair use, fair use. The purpose of this video, fair use, commentary, yada yada, transformative work, yada yada. He's gonna directly, I believe he's gonna directly address me and by extension us in this one. So it's gonna be a burner. I have it listed. This is a good one.
incredibly valuable to me. That's literally my only payment for this. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're just doing it for the clicks and the money." Well, first of all, every YouTuber does content to get clicks. So like,
that's not true. That's not true that every YouTuber does the videos for the clicks. It's not true. That's you projecting. Plenty of people do YouTube videos and set them to private. You could use YouTube to do, but also people don't do things just for the clicks. They do things for other reasons.
let's get that one straight. Two, I don't do it for the money. Like I've literally never made a single penny on this channel. Like I've been doing it 10 years. I got over 2 million views, right? But I'm a 55-year-old man. Like nobody listens to 55-year-old men on anything, right? Unless you're the president.
That tells us a lot. If someone already commented in Golden Coin Watcher said this guy tells on himself a lot. That's you telling us something about your attitude. Plenty of people listen to 55-year-old men. First of all, you're a father. Presumably, your children listen to you. Presumably, you listen to people. Hey, I'm self-employed at the moment, but for a period of time, I had employers. Guess what? Some of those employers were over the age of 55. I listened to them. Guess what? I have people in my life that I respect. Some of whom, many of whom, in fact, actually are over the age of 55. None of them are the president of the United States. I listen to them. I've had gurus in my life, some good, some bad. I've listened to them. Pastors, imams, rabbis. I listen to them. Oh, guess what? Well, my trained psychiatrist at the time is actually younger than me. But there are many people I've listened to, and there are many other people who listen to other people who are over the age of 55. So that's not true. And the fact that you would say that at the age of 55, that nobody listens to men over the age of 55, you're telling us a lot about how you feel as a dude over the age of 55. That's, hey, there's solutions to that. You should go talk to a mental health professional about your self-esteem issues. If you have self-esteem issues, or maybe you're on a comedic riff. Hey, nobody listens to anyone over the age of 55. As a father, sometimes I feel like, hey, these kids don't listen to me. Right? And then they say to me, you know what the kids say to me? We love you, Dad.
Right. Even then, people that don't want to hear it, right? Like, so the reality is I have been incredibly fortunate in that, I've been incredibly fortunate.
And gratitude. That's good.
And it's a really special thing for me, right? So, yeah. So basically, and so let's get all the way there. All right. So this guy comes in and he says, so what was the alternative to Matthew taking over Tiberius? And we're going to get to that. But then he immediately says, I feel Orion was a problematic player. And we got to talk about that before we get to the rest of his comment. It was a really good comment. And I really want to say thank you for the conversation we're having. Okay. So let's talk about his declaration that Orion was a problem, right? Because this is
remember, the guy said that he felt that Orion Akaba was a problematic player. And that's not something that he's alone in. Many other people felt that he was a problematic player. And you know what? The only people that really mattered as far as the decision about whether or not Orion Akaba was a problematic player, or whether he was a super douche that no one wanted to be around, or that he was dragging the show, or that people didn't like him, or that it was problematic that he brought an active weapon, a flamethrower, to the set, and that, that wasn't acceptable. Where's coworkers? They didn't want to be around him. They let him go.
It's a pretty deep subject, so let's get into this.
It's really not a deep subject. He was a dude on Critical Role, which was a live stream about people, professional voice actors playing D&D. This is not a deep subject.
Let's talk about. Let's look at exactly what the person said. They said, "I feel Orion was a problematic player, right? Right. So was a problem. I feel Orion was a problem player. Okay. All right. Let's get into that. All right. Let's talk about that in depth. Okay. Was Orion a problem player? Absolutely
Subjective.
not. Not only
You can't say that he wasn't. That's subjective, right?
is Orion Akaba not a problem player, he is literally the template of perfect player.
He was literally the template of a perfect player. This shows you how out to lunch J.Scott Garibay is, because other people feel differently about what a good or bad player is. And I've never, it is what it is. If he was such a good player, why isn't he there today and these other people are? People say what the problems with the dude were. If you don't think that if you think they overreacted, okay. If you would have done it differently, okay. You would have the dude at your table, okay. They chose not to, meaning some people thought he was a problematic player. What's the big deal? It's not a big deal. You want to play with that dude in your band? That's fine. Slipknot kicked him out.
Okay, so you're like, wait a second. Didn't he make people feel uncomfortable at the table? Yes, 100%.
So he made people feel uncomfortable at the table. So we can do this. Oh, here's the other thing that J.Scott Garibay did on Friday. We have to cover the video at some point. If I follow J.Scott Garibay's logic, which is what I'm going to do in this video, on a video he did on Friday, basically, we're all psychopaths because unless you treat characters like player characters like J.Scott Garibay does, which means that if your player character dies and you just move on to a different player character and you don't stop the game so that everyone can mourn and have like a Kaddish, you know what I mean? And have like, you know what I mean? Sit, for required, moments of mourning for the player characters. If someone really died, then you're potentially a psychopath. Okay.
Didn't he cheat dice rolls? Yes, 100%.
So these are things. If Orion Akaba is a perfect player, then these are the qualities of a perfect player according to J.Scott Garibay. A perfect player makes people at the table uncomfortable. Yes. A perfect player cheats at dice rolls. Yes, right? Because Orion Akaba was a perfect player, and J.Scott Garibay is agreeing that Orion Akaba had the following qualities. Meanwhile, I don't give two fucks about Orion Akaba, a dude who was on Critical Role playing D&D fucking 9 years ago, right? I don't give a fuck about Matt Mercer. He's the greatest DM. I think it's, I don't give a fuck.
Didn't he cheat meta magic points? Yes, 100%.
Perfect players cheat meta magic points. Okay. If this is a perfect player, what's a bad player, Scott? What do I got to do to be a bad player? Right? Not cheat at dice rolls or kill somebody?
100%. Didn't he make offensive jokes? Yes, 100%.
Perfect players make offensive jokes. Are we keeping tabs at home? Write this down. We should write this down so we can write a book for the younglings to teach them how to be a perfect player. Good morning, boys and girls. You're here to learn how to play D&D and or other tabletop role-playing games. First things first. What does it mean to be a perfect player? There's a lot of talk. You're going to hear a lot of things on the internet. Let's set the record straight. Number one, cheat on dice rolls. Make other players at the table uncomfortable. Make dirty jokes. Cheat on meta magic points.
Didn't he not respect the other people at the table? Yes, 100%.
Doubling down. Don't respect your fellow people. You know what I mean? Grab that ass. Personal space? What's that PC woke bullshit? You know what I mean? Dudes, chicks, hims, hers, they, thems. I'll poke your eye out, kid.
He did not respect the people at the table. Don't you have to do all of those, Scott? No, you do not. No,
you do not. You do not. Actually, but J.Scott Garibay, FYI, in case you're curious, why am I making these videos? Why am I saying you are an LOLCOW? Worthy of talking about in the broader community, and you should be known outside of the TTRPG space because you've been doing this for 10 years and somehow magically you have not risen to the level of Amberlynn Reed, DSP, King Cobra JFS. Foodie Beauty, peace be upon her name. But you say madcap shit like this.
What you're saying, oh, you need to be a respectful, just take you right into the convent. Your behavior needs to be the very best.
No, I would say that you don't need to be a perfect person. You don't need to be like, you know what I mean? Take it to the convent, but maybe you need to respect other people, not make them uncomfortable. Don't cheat at the game. I don't know.
Yes, you need to respect everybody at the table. You need to obey your dice rolls.
And remember that J.Scott Garibay has previously told us that he is Orion Okaba. Oh, J.Scott Garibay has also told us that he has a hard time finding other people to play with. J.Scott Garibay, it's like you're not going to be satisfied until you don't get invited, until they turn you away at the door at cons. Isn't that the case? Is that the case?
You need to obey your magic points. You need to not have main player character energy at the table. All that. You have to do that. That's the first rule of
You also have to keep your hands on the wheel while your car's in motion, dude.
Tabletop role-playing games. You ridiculous, ignorant fool. You
ridiculous, ignorant fool. Pay attention to the rules of the game. Respect other people around you at the table. You ignorant, you poor, ignorant fool. You sad sack. You dumb shit. Shows what you know.
Ridiculous, ignorant fool. But
you know what this guy has? Like serious Holden Caulfield energy.
What you're saying is antiquated, shallow, and unthoughtful. Okay?
Unthoughtful? Wait, actually, dude, this is part of the reason I point out that I think you have a problem with being untethered from reality, because having respect for people is the definition of being thoughtful. You can't tell people that they're unthoughtful because they have this a baseline understanding that people need to be respectful of other people at the table. That doesn't work.
Okay. Now, wait, Scott.
Also, keep your hands on the wheel. Your car is in motion.
This is really important. Like, read any game master book, and it's going to tell you that you have to respect the players at the table. How are people going to have fun at the table?
You don't have to read a game book. How about this? Read the Bible. You claim to be an evangelical Christian. I've never heard a person say, "Oh, you could just, accept the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord, personal Savior, and then go do whatever the F you want to anybody." Go kill a dude, but you're saved by the blood of Jesus. You know what I mean? You guys, you know what I mean? You can't just keep on doing mad crap shit. You have to keep on, you know what I mean? You got to change your ways, bro.
Hey, well, how are everybody going to have a good time if there's no respect? What is your goal for Dungeons and Dragons play, right?
Play Dungeons and Dragons.
Here's what Orion Akaba did with it.
What did Orion Akaba do with this?
72 episodes.
27 episodes. Oh, the dude needs to breathe? That's what I'm saying. Here's the other thing. I think as we watch through this thing, that he's aware of what I'm doing. I think I've learned not to assume. I got to be careful. I just want to tell you, J.Scott Garibay, if you have a problem with what I'm doing, I don't give a fuck.
72 episodes.
27 episodes. Why can't you count, bro?
Okay. Orion Akaba, Tiberius Stormwind, at the table.
Tiberius Stormwind sucked.
72 episods of Vox Machina. What did he do in 72 episodes?
He fucking blew it. He screwed him up. He screwed up the thing. By the way, everyone else at the play table sucked too, man. There was a bunch of lame voice actor means. I'm not hot enough to be an actual actor. I'm kidding. You know what I mean? You know what else actor means? I go around pretending to be other people. I'm making fun of everyone because I'm a lawyer. What do you know what I mean? Like, what, you know what I mean? Tell lawyer jokes, whatever, dude.
8 millionaires. He made 8 millionaires.
An argument can be made that he made 8 millionaires when he got the fuck out of the way and let them get on with their lives and do their business, right? That he was the weakest link, that once they got rid of him, that's when they moved forward and were able to, like, do shit. I don't know. Like, we'll never know. Like, how did Critical Role become the success that they became? You know, did Matt Mercer go? You know what I mean? Is everything that, like, Cat Williams said is true? Did Matt Mercer have to go, behind, do something with people, the Wizards of the Coast, the actual Wizards of the Coast, and, make peace with the boule or something. I don't know. Did they have to do some sort of like Illuminati shame ritual or something? Was Orion Okaba the sacrifice? Don't give him ideas, dude. Don't give J.Scott Garibay ideas.
He made 8 millionaires, right?
He did it. He made 8 millionaires. Did he? I don't know.
8. He didn't give them respect. He gave them millions. He gave them.
And what's more valuable, respect or millions? Well, if you read the Bible,
millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Why are you getting upset about this, bro?
That's what he did. Okay.
Oh, is it? Is that what he did? I don't know if that's what he did.
Oh, hey, Scott, the purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is to have fun. You ridiculous, ignorant fool.
If you think that the purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is to have fun, if you think the purpose of Dungeons and Dragons, now there are other people that think that if you think the purpose of playing Dungeons and Dragons is to have fun, then there are other people that have said not that you're a fool. I think that the guy from Lamentations of the Flame Princess is of the opinion that the purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is not to have fun. Like, not explicitly not to have fun, but that he's not interested necessarily in having fun. But then again, you know, the guy oftentimes complains about a lot of stress and strain and upset in his life. There's a lot of people like in this community that like really don't have their head on straight, I think, as far as like what the purpose of life is. But that's just me. You know, what do I know? A lot of broken people in this whole shenanigans, right? What are you gonna do? I would suggest that the purpose of any game is to have fun, right? That if you're doing things that are like, if you're engaged in endeavors that are not to have fun, those things might be like, you know, going on an actual spiritual quest, like, you know, meditation or prayer or, you know, pilgrimage of some sort, or feeding the poor. That you wouldn't do that through Dungeons and Dragons, because, you know, Dungeons and Dragons is a game of imagination. You know, it is in fact a game. You know.
You ridiculous, ignorant fool.
You keep on calling people ridiculous, ignorant fools, man, but it won't make the difference that, you know what I mean? That I don't know if that's true.
The purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is what I say it is.
No, yeah. The purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is what he says it is. Or
right?
Wait,
it's what you say it is.
Well, what if I say it's fun? I just said the purpose of Dungeons and Dragons is to have fun. Okay, so we can all agree. It's what you say it is, what I say it is. So you said, but what?
It's what people who know what Dungeons and Dragons.
It's what people who know what Dungeons and Dragons is. Guess what the definition of people who know what Dungeons and Dragons is? It's people who agree with J.Scott Garibay. Here's my advice. If you find yourself agreeing with J.Scott Garibay like 9 times out of 10, check yourself into a hospital.
Say it is. We do with Dungeons and Dragons as we wish. And
I hang out with other human beings and play music, and I do play TTRPGs more as I get older, because what I used to do when a lot of people I think were playing more TTRPGs was I was having sex with other people, and I was playing in bands and doing drugs.
And fun is the goal of useless, sad sack humans that are taking up space that would be better used by the next soul to drop onto this earth.
That's something that I think is often said by people that are envious of people that have sex with other people and do drugs and alcohol. But I mean, I got straight and sober because I had to. But like, don't for a minute think that, you know, that y'all this dude needs to chill the fuck out. There are solutions, and the solution is not more D&D. The solution is like, put away the book sometimes, get outside, as I say, touch grass, get out there in the wilderness. You don't have to have sex. That's like me I'm joking about a lot of that shit, right? I don't mean to like, you know, aggravate people. You don't necessarily engage in those things that are classified as sins, but you know, you gotta live a little. You know what I mean? And I do think that people that don't live a little and get too insular in their affairs do get jealous and do get envious, and then therefore lash out and get aggressive towards people that they may feel as though, you know, had a more, you know, satisfying life. But I think a lot of that is because, you got to recognize if you're upset and feel like your life is not full of fun times and satisfaction in a real way. And then say, if it's not working, like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and playing more Dungeons and Dragons and reading books and playing video games, and it gives you a certain level of satisfaction, but you're still, there's something missing. You gotta get out there and know that you gotta do something else. You know what I mean?
Fun is nothing. Orion Akaba made
But you were saying that fun that Orion. I don't think anyone would look at Orion Akaba and think that he wasn't having fun.
8 millionaires with 72 episodes of play.
27 episodes.
And right now, today, he is continuing to make those existing 8 millionaires even richer and make new millionaires.
What new millionaires is he making?
Anjali Banani, right? Probably going to end up being a millionaire just based on Orion Akaba's work.
I have no idea who that is.
You need to understand that. Anyone attached to Critical Role Exandria, and definitely not Critical Role anything else, because that all fails horribly and never
fails horribly. Anyone those trying to do Candela Obscura, big failure. Those books are just sitting on the shelves. No one plays Candela Obscura, and that guy who tried to DM Candela Obscura fucking failed. Failure. He's a failure. All pieces of shit.
Ever gets any numbers, right? He made them millionaires. Orion Akaba is not a problem player. He is the template for the best player in the world at Dungeons.
You just said he was a problem player, and you just identified all these qualities that made him a problem player. Dude, get together, bro.
Okay. Here's the kicker. This is what you are not understanding when we talk about problem player. Okay. First of all, what he's done is proven and unparalleled, unmatched. Do you understand that? Right? You sat at the Dungeons and Dragons table. You accomplished nothing. You didn't make anybody at the table a millionaire, let alone every other person at the table a millionaire. You did nothing, right? And now, okay, Orion Akaba created the greatest live action play of Dungeons and Dragons that ever has existed.
Orion Akaba did it. Fuck Matt Mercer. Fuck those other people at the table. It was all Orion Akaba. And you can tell because after he was not there, all that success they had because of him, that's how you know. Right?
He created the most compelling narrative ever written with Dungeons and Dragons. It's so.
We all know the untold genius of Orion Akaba.
So strong. It has stood up novels, comic books, television shows, streaming shows, and probably will stand up a movie. Okay.
But Jay, what you have to do, your burden of proof is you have to show people that it was Orion Akaba and not those other people that did all the hard work for those 8 or 9 years that Orion Akaba wasn't present.
Orion Akaba is not a problem player. He is literally the template for the best type of Dungeons and Dragons player.
You just said all the things that he did, which clearly were problematic behaviors. Now you're contradicting yourself. This is why I've established, I believe, the argument that you just talk because you are untethered from reality. But okay, can you counter my argument that you are making sense?
And here's why we know that. Because for 10 years, group after group after group after group of players came along and tried to beat him, tried to make their compatriots millionaires. All of them failed. Tried to make a compelling narrative that people would watch more than Critical Role. All of them failed.
So what is it? People could argue that there's that's a certain audience pool that's just not large enough to support other streams other than Critical Role. Also, Critical Role has not been doing the high point of Critical Role was what? It was basically around the same point of the high point of Stranger Things was not this. People are talking about when Stranger Things drop, when the latest thing from Stranger Things drop. I think the latest season of Stranger Things is going to be a bomb. That's what I'm predicting. I think the high point of all of this was the 30-year nostalgia loop, 1985 to 1995 to 2005 to 2015. In 2014, 2015, the D&D 5e came out, which became huge because in 1985, the red box of D&D was a cultural milestone. So 30 years later, you have D&D 5e, you have Critical Role, and you have Stranger Things. All that was working off that 30-year hype off in nerd culture for that nostalgia vibe. That's why right around that same time, you have the biggest high point of Rick and Morty, which was just a nostalgia, absolute circle jerk, right? And the Transformers movies and all that, and all that stuff, and the Funko Pop explosion, all that stuff. It was that period of time, 2015, and then that high point of 2020 with the pandemic. It was just gangbusters, dude. That was 5 years ago. If you look around go around. I got kids. Go around the mall. The 80s are over. All the kids are wearing Nirvana t-shirts. It's not Pac-Man fever anymore. They're all into the 90s. The whole D&D thing, I think, is a wrap. That whole thing, if someone's going to catch a vibe off Vampire the Masquerade, good luck, because everybody knows that in the 90s, was there TTRPG stuff going on? Yeah, and what was the biggest thing in TTRPGs? It was stuff like Vampire. But was Vampire a huge thing around? Was it in people's faces like Dungeons and Dragons was in the 80s? Not by a long shot. But we'll see. Let's see. You think Stranger Things is going to hit like an atomic bomb? I don't think so. Just like the latest edition of D&D did not hit like an atomic bomb.
Right? And all of them, every single group, was nothing but precious angels who respected every single person at the table. And when they rolled the dice and a number came up, they allowed that to impact the story any way they wanted. Anyway, the number determined. They didn't cheat dice rolls. They didn't cheat meta magic points. They didn't have main character energy. They didn't show disrespect to everybody at the table. They didn't make people feel uncomfortable. And they didn't tell offensive jokes. And none of it mattered. They accomplished nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Orion Akaba stands atop the hill.
Oh, God.
He cannot be beaten. No one has beaten him with good behavior. All right? He is not a problem. He is the path to success in Dungeons & Dragons. Orion Akaba is not a problem player. And if you get a player who shows up at your table and says, I'm going to make every single one of you millionaires, maybe that person is the problem. And you are.
If anyone shows up at your table and says he's going to make everyone a millionaire, they're lying to you, because no one's going to be made a millionaire.
Every single word you just heard in this video. Every single word you just heard in this video. Every single.
Who's an autistic person? Who's demonstrating the traits of autism? Who's demonstrating traits of autism? Not me. Hey, it is what it is. I am neurodivergent myself, and there's no shame in my game.
Single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Absolutely nothing more and not a darn thing less. The important thing is when I get to hear your humble opinion, you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider
if you see his energy is definitely changing. I don't think it's just exclusively me. I definitely think post-angst Gen X, this is the high point of Critical Role, was 1 year before COVID. Okay. Jonaside, the Vampire the Masquerade RPG is coming out soon. That might start a revival. Who knows? Who knows? So my kid said he was caught on camera changing his die rolls had to be watched beside the flamethrower. Has anyone talked to this guy's pastor since he's such a dedicated evangelical Christian? Hey, who knows? Good morning, everyone. Or Borda if you're in Wales, too. There you go. We say hello to Tim Frey. We say hello to Chegs Chambers. And we say hello to post-angst Gen Xer. Don't let the mans get you down. My man is a poor man's Carl Sagan's. Millions and millions and millions. There you go. We got Mario Heat. Hashtag Team Okaba. It's Monday, which means J.Scott is back at it. Post-angst Gen Xer. I've been observing Garibay for quite some time. He's a fascinating subject, and not in a good way. There you go. Roll the tape. Hey, we got Robert Redmond's Clip Channel here. Long time no see. How you doing, Robert Redmond's Clips? Hey, there you go. There you go. Okay, let's see. Let's find our next one up. Videos. Let's see. That one wasn't the burner that I thought it was. It must be the next one. Let's see what's going on. Here we go. American politics. Okay, we got American politics. This one is a good one too. Hold on. I believe, but then again, I said that one about the next one, the last one. So let's see what's happening here. Share screen. This one, I believe we're going to get. This one's going to have him where we're going to want to say to J.Scott Garibay, be careful of what you say in public, okay? Because it's going to be heard by a lot of people, not just the people you necessarily intended to be. Oh man, he's going to say some things which are, I think, going to put him in an unfavorable light. Maybe don't talk about politics.
This is your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about American politics, and we're going to talk about
fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm playing things at 1.5 speed. I don't mean that to present him in a more frenetic manner. I don't do that to make him look more high-strung, but it's just we're trying to get through these videos, and it will be a ridiculous amount of time. If you have problems understanding what he's saying, I apologize for that.
2025, Alex Garland's A24 film, Warfare. Fascinating film. And I'll give you the elevator pitch on this video right now. American memory is more important and matters more than international reality.
American memory matters more than international reality. Now, before we do anything, I want to say I don't trust J.Scott Garibay as a reliable narrator as far as the digestion and recitation of the central themes or motives of the directors or the intent of directors of movies. So though he is telling us that the purpose of this movie was that the message was American memory matters more than international realities, I think that we should take a moment to say that that's J.Scott Garibay's interpretation of the message. And J.Scott Garibay, spoiler alert, is going to tell us that it is, in fact, his position that is the nature of things, which I think is a horrible thing to think. But hey, who cares?
Right? Like if you're an American, if you're an international, if you live in another country and something happens to you, it doesn't matter what happened to you. It only matters.
Also, the definition of if you're an American, you're an American, and if you live anywhere else, you're an international. Well, that's a very nationalistic point of view, right? We're all international to somebody.
Matters if and how Americans remember it.
That's a ridiculous statement. It only matters how Americans perceive things. That's a ridiculous statement, especially for a Christian to say, because Jesus Christ says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Jesus is no respecter of nations. And you shouldn't be either. I know that there are certain Christians who believe that America thinks that America is somehow special in God's eyes. And I would always, tend to remind those people that, nowhere in any translation of the Bible does America appear explicitly. You may think that it does. I know that for years and years and years, people have interpreted the Whore of Babylon as clearly communist Russia, and it's clearly this, and it's clearly this, and blah, 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 blah. But it's not, what?
Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's not important in any way.
That's a terrible thing to say. I certainly don't feel that way as an American.
Wait, Scott, that seems incredibly problematic. It is. And that's actually why I think we should. And Alex Garland's A24 2025 film Warfare, to me, is a reason why we need to AD-20 the planet.
We need to AD-20 the planet. I believe he's making a reference to Judge Dredd, where, after a nuclear war, there was like Mega City 1, Mega City 2. Mega City 1 was like the whole East Coast. And then like Mega City 2 was like all of the West Coast. And then there was like Brit Block, which was like, England. And then there was like Nippon City. I think there was, It was like, he's going to explain it.
80% of all of all populated land and water, all populated, 80% of all surface on Earth should belong to America.
80% of all populated Earth should belong to America. Like a one world government, as long as that one world government is America. What if we had like a one world government, but first of all, anyway, what if we had like a one world government, but it wasn't like America, but it was just like the world government?
And 20% should be left to internationals.
And 20% should be left to internationals. Wait, what? Why not just have 100% one world government where we're all not America, but we're all just, like I said, like the world? Like, why can't we just be like planet Earth? Why would we have to be America?
We should have the majority of Asia. We should have the majority of Europe. We should have the majority.
We should have the majority of. We should have the majority of. That's what I remind people that like tend to say things like this. Like, unless you're an actual like billionaire, like Elon Musk or Peter Thiel or Jeff Bezos, like you can say all you want to about we should have this or we should have that. You ain't gonna have nothing. You know, you don't have shit. You'll still be a poor old sad sack driving around in a car being like, you know what I mean? Probably, most likely. You know what I mean? America.
We should have all of South America. We should have all of Canada.
Why do you want all of South America? Why would you? I don't know what the hell.
We should certainly own every single inch of Greenland.
Wait, if you want all of South America, why do you have such a problem with people from South America coming in here? You know what I mean? It makes no sense. I don't know.
And the reality is, like, and the reason why is we need to stop having internationals, right? The whole world needs.
We need to stop having internationals. What the heck is an international?
To be American, or the world doesn't matter. Like, people should matter, but right now, if you're not an American,
people should matter, but right now, if you're not an American, you don't matter. That's crazy talk. Of course, people matter, and you're an evangelical Christian, so apparently, even though just like Dungeons and Dragons, which I don't think you understand, it doesn't seem that you understand what it means to be an evangelical Christian. Because if you understood what it means to be an evangelical Christian, you wouldn't say things like internationals don't matter, because you would know that human beings matter because Jesus Christ loves all people. You dumb fuck.
you don't matter. You don't matter, okay?
You do matter. Stop saying people don't matter, man. You're fucking hurting your soul, man.
Let's get into it right now. I think that is the message. That is my takeaway message from Alec Garland's 20.
I guarantee if you ask Alex Garland what the message of his movie is, he'll be like, if it's that, he'll be like, there are people that project that attitude, and the purpose of my movie is to say those people are not good people.
25 A24 film.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Alex Garland is a terrible human being piece of shit. I don't know.
So basically, okay, so this movie is about an American skirmish, not even a war, not even a war.
Not even a war. Skirmish, police action. Going overseas, killing some people, internationals, light tan to brown to dark brown, those people.
Skirmish, right?
Skirmish. Not even a war. Skirmish.
An American skirmish with American soldiers, United States of America soldiers.
United States of America soldiers. Don't get twisted.
Against some country with a lot of sand. What country?
Some country with a lot of sand. FYI, and in case you're curious, J.Scott Garibay, that is a term that could easily apply to where? The United States of America. The United States of America has two coasts which border two oceans. The Atlantic Ocean on the East Coast and the Pacific Ocean on the West Coast. I don't know if you've ever been to the beach, fuckface, but the beach is covered in, you guessed it, sand. You might have heard of a little state called Arizona. Huh? Have you heard of Arizona? FYI, in case you're curious, Arizona has a lot of deserts. In those deserts, it's a lot of sand. There are other states that also have a lot of arid spaces. Those spaces, too, have a lot of sand. Death Valley, California, sandy places with sand.
Scott, I have no idea. I don't know, right? Well, didn't they tell you? Yeah, They said it right at the beginning of the movie, right? Had a bunch of A's in it, had a G in it. I don't know.
They did tell you where the place was. It had a lot of A's in it, a lot of G's in it, but he doesn't care. Why?
I don't know. Like, I don't know, right? And I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what country this happened in. It was just some country, some international country with a lot of sand. That's it.
He doesn't care where it happened because it was some country, some international country with a lot of sand. Way to knock it out of the park as an evangelical Christian, J.Scott Garibay. Way to get the message. Way to get the message. Keep on coming to the AA meeting. Keep on going out and drinking. You get it, buddy. You get it.
That's it. All I can tell you, right? And because all countries in the world with a lot of sand are indistinguishable to me, right? Like,
then you are a fucking idiot.
Because I'm an American.
Don't say it because you're an American. It's not because you're an American. Because guess what? Countries with countries that are not America are distinguishable to me, and I'm an American. There are a ton of Americans that can tell the difference between different countries, despite the fact that they're Americans. There are a ton of Americans who, guess what? Think of other people from other countries, despite the fact that they're not American, as having equal rights to Americans and equal value as human beings, despite the fact that they're not American. Speak for yourself, brother. It's not because you're an American. It's because you're J.Scott Garibay. And despite the fact, but I just want to let you know something. If you think that you get it, I'm not going to go into it.
And all that matters is America, right?
That's not true. That's not that all that matters. That's not all that matters is America. America is not the only thing that matters.
There was a family whose house was taken, right? And they were all in the house. What happened to them at the end of the movie? I don't remember.
You don't remember? You don't remember what happened to the family? Well, then you didn't understand the movie. You weren't paying attention.
I don't remember what happened to those internationals, right? But
you don't remember what happened to those internationals? Those internationals were people.
Ask me anything about any of the American soldiers. I can tell you the freckle patterns on their face. I can tell you what they drank, what they ate. I can tell you their speech.
First of all, press X to doubt. I don't think you could tell us anything about those Americans. But even if you could, you're telling us that you cared enough about the American characters in a fictional movie just because they were American characters. But you didn't care about the international people because they were quote unquote internationals from a country. What if they hadn't identified where people were from? What do you do in a movie like Lord of the Rings where people are not from a country where the people are just like from a fantasy land? Are you able to remember where people are from then?
Patterns, their cadence, right? I could tell you what their favorite song was. It's entire.
You could tell us what their favorite song was? Like they identified what people's favorite songs were.
Their international family, right? Like what happened to them at the end? What happened to them? I don't know. I could tell you, right? And the reason why is if it's not happening, if America is not, and the entire, like literally this film, okay? What's really profound about this film is A20.
I don't trust you to tell us what's profound about the film because you literally told us that you don't register characters in a movie if they're not American. Okay? So I don't trust that you absorbed enough of this movie to tell us anything. Meanwhile, this movie could be like an absolute Z-grade piece of garbage. I have no idea.
24 is the #1 innovative source for movies today. They are doing things that simply no one else is doing.
What was
truly,
it?
Truly.
Wait, I gotta rewind to find out what direct to streaming service movie thing is called and talking about.
Else is doing. Truly, truly brilliant. Truly things that simply no one else is doing. Truly, truly brilliant. Things that simply no one else of source for. What's really profound about this film is A24 is the #1 innovative source for
A24.
They are doing things that simply no one else is doing. Truly, truly brilliant, truly, truly transformative, extremely important, powerful material, right? That they're doing. It's absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. So basically, this film, I didn't want to see this film. In fact, I had planned to skip it, right? But then I was like, there's nothing really, I already saw The Amateur right this week. There's nothing really out, right? I got a nice open slot. I got my movie pass. I can see what I want, right? Am I going to see Minecraft again? I don't know about that. Right? In fact, I did.
Ex Machina.
I actually went to one of my friends who was like, hey, I want to see Minecraft again. You want to see it with me? And they're like, no, I got something else to do, right? So I ended up going to this movie. I didn't even want to go see it. It was absolutely brilliant, and nobody can miss this film, okay? And here's why. Basically, there's been this constant question, right, from Hollywood. Oh, you guys did like a, you did a story based on a true, you did a movie based on a true story. I don't know, Hollywood. Did you get even half of it right? Most of the time, you guys lie. You spin it for your own reasons. You put all your agenda check boxes on it. By the time we're done, it's nothing. It's not true, right? Well, Alex Garland just jumped right over that, right? He's like, everything here is based on memory. What? Everything here is based on memory. That is a good hack, right? Because at that point, you're like, I don't know if that's really the way it happened. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Doesn't matter what actually happened. All that matters is what Americans remember. That's better than reality. If an American remembered it, that's what's important.
That's because it was told from the perspective of like flashbacks and memories. You think that means that the message was all that matters is American memory. Yeah, J.Scott Garibay, this is why I watch videos about you and why I'm studying you, because you are the fishbowl. You are a special mind. Play on, player. Play on. Spin it out. You're married with children? You are? You're married with children? You don't wear a wedding ring. I'm not saying that doesn't mean you're married. I'm saying it doesn't mean you're not married. I'm saying who knows?
Doesn't matter if it's true. Doesn't matter if it's what actually happened. All that matters is how an American remembers it.
That is the scariest thing to say as we're entering this kind of friggin' like 1984 reality where we have guys that are like saying like as the Supreme Court of the United States issues a decision against the executive, against the president, saying that we have the American press secretary and the minion saying, "Oh no, actually it was a unanimous decision for us." Craziness.
And you're like, wait a second, Scott, I don't know. That's a pretty bold claim that what Americans remember is more important than what internationals actually experience or what internationals' reality is. Isn't that like a little selfish to say? I'm not.
It's extremely selfish.
Not saying it. Internationals are saying it, right?
Oh, internationals are saying. I'm not. People from places other than America are saying what we experience doesn't matter more than what Americans think about it. That's what people are saying, right?
I'm not telling you. You're exactly right. If I, an American, were like, hey, your international reality does not matter in the least. It doesn't even matter nearly as much as what Americans remember happening, right? That would be pretty ludicrous and selfish for me, an American, to tell that to you. Fortunately, Americans aren't telling that to you. Internationals are telling that to you, right? Like Alex Garland is a European. What nation is he from, Scott? Is he French? Is he German? Is he British? I don't know. I don't care. I'm an American.
You don't know where he's from, but you know that he's an international. You know that he's from somewhere else. Actually, now I have to fucking stop. Alex Garland. Who is Alex Garland and where the hell is he from? God damn it. I can't believe I have to freaking do this. I'm sorry, folks. Hold on. Let me pause the sharing of the screen. Stop screen share. Wow, is Garibay a racist? I don't know. I don't know if there's an actual through line on this, but I have to now do this. Now I have to stop this bullshit and actually just look up but you heard that statement. You heard that statement. American memory matters more than international, what happens actual international experience. And I'm not saying it. Internationals are saying it. And it's one person that he's citing. Okay. It's one person that he's citing. Okay. Oh, and Alex Garland is the dude that did Civil War. And he's English. He's English. Okay. And I haven't seen Civil War, but I understand that it's like a piece of work. He wrote 28 Days Later. Oh, God. He was a story supervisor on Devil May Cry. Oh, he wrote and directed the sci-fi thriller Ex Machina. That was a good one. I like that one. He also co-directed the war film Warfare. Co-directed. Aye. Oh, God. I just want to look at this thing, this Warfare movie. Actually, I don't. But you see it. One dude from Britain said that that this man. Why am I taking J.Scott Garaby's point of view for what the movie actually stands for? Oh my god. Again, I don't think we could say that there's a through line on his logic. I don't
Only what I remember matters, right? It doesn't matter what his nationality is. All that matters.
It doesn't even matter what his nationality is. Well, he's British. And then do your own research. He's British.
Is that I remember him from Civil War. like it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And he is making this movie and he's saying all that matters is America.
He was the co-director, dude.
American memory. You don't have to remember the name of the country. You don't have to remember what happened.
He didn't say that. You just didn't remember the name of the country. No one told you that you didn't have to remember the name of the country. No one told you that you didn't have to remember what happened to that family. That's just a happenstance of your friggin' brain not functioning empathetically. And that's not your fault. It's just an aspect of whatever special is going on in your unique neuroscience.
Happens to that poor international family in that building. All you need to remember is that some American soldiers were hurt, and we'll tell you every detail of that, right? And all that matters is American memory. Okay, this is
no one said that that's all that matters. I don't trust you as a distiller of the point of this movie, dude.
Astounding change, right? And that's the point. This isn't entertainment. This is an explanation of the world. This movie was not enjoyable to watch, right? Like movies are no longer serving the function of enjoyment. They're not for fun, right?
Well, some movies are not for fun. You know what I mean? Like, what was it? Like The Bicycle Thief or Akira Kurosawa, you know what I mean? Some movies are not for fun. You know what I mean? Mystic River. You know what I mean? My God, that Mystic River. Oh, Jesus Christ. Laugh riot. You know what I mean? And then there's other movies that are for fun. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You know what I mean? Presumably the Minecraft movie is for fun.
They're not. All they are is to explain the world to us.
Minecraft? The purpose of Minecraft is to explain the world to us? I saw Strays, that movie Strays, with the voice of Will Ferrell and the other guy. You know what I mean? The African-American gentleman. He was one of the dogs too. I don't think that movie was to explain the world to us. Dogs don't really talk. You know what I mean? Yeah, so there were some messages in there. You know what I mean? I got it. About the dude's balls. You didn't treat you right. Learn about positive relationships and negative relationships. I guess it was to explain the world to you a little bit. But anyway, there are other movies that are just for fun and entertainment.
And Alex
Trolls. Well, I don't know.
Garland just said, "Hey, I'm a European, and I'm going to tell you the truth about I'm going to tell you the truth about what's happening today."
No, he's not.
International reality doesn't matter one iota. What really matters.
Then why did the movie take place overseas?
Is how a single American remembers it. That is incredible and true, in my humble opinion.
You're out of your mind, bro. We're going on to your next video because you are out of your fucking mind, bro. I love you. I love you as a child of God and a child of goddess, but you are absolutely a special fucking case, man. I love you. I absolutely do fucking love you, man. I absolutely love you, but you are absolutely out to Kevin Hart. That's right. Kevin Hart. What's wrong? She gave me away, man. The spoilers. I apologize if you haven't seen Strays. It's a good movie. I'm gonna bite his dick off. That's right, you are. Speaking of biting people's dicks off, I'm kidding. Transformative work, fair use. We're gonna get through this shit, ladies and gentlemen. How long have I been here? An hour and 8 minutes already. Okay, folks, if you're joining us, watching this is just the content from today. We're just watching Monday's videos. I'm gonna maybe I should just watch J.Scott Garibay videos and then just like burn them down. Like just tell you what he said.
Your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Orion Akaba and Tiberius Stormwind, and we're going to go over a comment I got on another Orion Akaba video. And the commenter said the following.
So remember, this is the second video on one comment. Someone made a comment and he couldn't just address the comment in one video. He's got to address it in two. This must be the video where he talks about me, maybe, hopefully.
A lot of stuff in the comment. We're just going to cover just some of it today. Literally every segment of this comment was so brilliant, right, that I needed to break it. I need to do separate videos to break it all down and cover what was.
Had to or wanted to?
Okay, so here's what he said. He said, so what was
Matthew? What are we talking about me? This is the one where he talks about me.
Matthew's alternative to taking over Tiberius. I feel Orion was a problem player. And when a problem player leaves the table, that's as far as I can go. That's all I'm going to be able to cover in this video today. It's astounding how deep this subject is. All right, let's.
Not deep at all. This guy has made 70 videos on returning Orion Okaba to the Critical Role table, which is why part of the reason why we're covering J.Scott Garibay. This is like, you know what I mean? Like, when are they going to bring back Welcome Back Kotter? It's due for a reboot. I constantly call the studio. I constantly send emails. You know what I mean? If they think that a restraining order is going to stop me, okay, it's called a temporary restraining order for a reason. Okay, I'll bide my time. I'll wait, and then I'll come back. Okay. And my family wants to have an intervention, that's fine. Okay. Fuel for the fire. You're making me stronger. You're making me stronger. And when Welcome Back Kotter finally comes back to the airwaves, y'all are going to feel so fucking stupid. And it's going to be the most important event in television history. And everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know why I did what I did and why I fought so long and so hard.
Let's get into it. Okay. All right. Now, I've already covered that Orion Okaba was not a problem player. Okay.
You actually covered and told us why he was a problem player, and then you flipped and then said he wasn't a problem player. You go back and forth. You do not make sense. I do not know. You're not delivering DoorDash. I've looked at your LinkedIn. I have no idea how you're holding down the job you hold down. I have no idea how you function in society because I don't know how you would be able to. But it is what it is, bro. It's not for me to understand.
So go back another video and you can see that. Today we're going to say, we're going to go to the next part. When a problem player leaves the table, okay? Now, first of all, okay, this is the part that is wrong. Right? So much of this.
I just want to say he's going to go into something that I have covered, and you're the one that's wrong, J.Scott Garibay. You are absolutely 100% wrong. Do you not know how to read? Because we covered it in the Rule Cyclopedia. We covered it in the latest edition of Dungeons & Dragons, where it is absolutely explicit, and home ruling itself would just knock this whole thing out of the park. Okay?
This comment is wrong, but it was incredibly.
Comment is right, but let's go.
Valuable comment. I'm literally doing multiple videos to answer it, so I'm very thankful to the commenter for this comment. It was extremely helpful. Okay, because it helped me to look at this in a different light. Okay, all right, so let's get into it. So I'm getting this constant. People are just like, Scott, you're obsessing over this. You need to stop talking about this because this is very simple. This is just a player leaving the kitchen table. They're like, oh, I play Dungeons & Dragons at my kitchen table, Scott.
Again, mocking. If anyone has a different point of view, can Scott just present them speaking in a normal voice? No, he's going to go into the mockery voice, right? Which is he's a 55-year-old dude. I'm not saying that my behavior is immature, but his behavior is that much more immature because he's 5 years older than me. So I'm not punching down. I'm punching up technically. This guy was a graduating senior the year before I went into high school. So I'm like punching into junior college here.
I play Dungeons & Dragons at my kitchen table. I play Dungeons & Dragons at my kitchen table. We kick out a player every now and then, and here's what needs to happen.
This sounds like someone that doesn't this exactly sound like someone who gets kicked out of more tables than kicks people out of more tables?
You ridiculous, ignorant fool. You ridiculous, ignorant fool.
You ridiculous, ignorant fool. Like, see, I can do it too. You want me to mock you, dude? You ridiculous, ignorant fool. I wouldn't do that. I would. There's a dude who recounts being a player at a table with J.Scott Garibay. And he even talks about after J.Scott Garibay got kicked out of the table, he kept on going, I guess having to going to diners with the dude, trying to be friends with him and just trying to maintain something, trying to be nice. And it was just impossible.
Okay? Seal your flapping maw. This is not your kitchen table. And this is not a player. Orion Okaba was not a player. We need to understand this. What was Orion Okaba when
Orion Okaba absolutely 100% was a player? Dude, this is not you know what I mean? He was not the Michael Jordan of fucking D&D players. And by all definitions of the term, there cannot be a Michael Jordan of Dungeons & Dragons players because it is a game of random chance. I know that they have tournament play at these conventions, but that doesn't make it like a game of chess. You know what I mean? It is not a fucking game.
When he was exiled by a group of Hollywood actors, okay? That's who exiled him, a group of Hollywood actors.
Like Hollywood actors like have no ability to exile people. Like they lack some sort of like status because they're Hollywood actors. They're human beings, dude.
Critical Role are Hollywood actors. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to be watching The Last of Us on Max, right? Which used to be HBO, right? And like Ashley Johnson was an actress in that live action show. These are Hollywood actors. Okay.
She's an actress in that live action show, unless her character's been written off.
Now, what was Orion Akaba at that time? Okay, he wasn't a problem player at your kitchen table. You ridiculous, ignorant fool.
He was not an act, but hold on, J.Scott. See, here's the problem, J.Scott Garibay. Here's the problem that you're going to have. Because now that I'm watching your videos and I remember shit, because my brain doesn't function in a lot of ways, but it actually functions in some ways. Your mother. You previously, in a previous video that I covered, said that Orion Okaba was present at everyone's table, which would include, by definition, our kitchen tables. So he is like a player at our kitchen tables. So, bah. And if you're joining us late and it sounds like I'm talking gibberish, it's because I've been watching a lot of J.Scott Garibay.
Right? There was something more happening here, and you need to understand this. He was,
and if you don't understand, it's not that I'm crazy as J.Scott Garibay. It's that you're a stupid, ignorant fool. Okay.
Contracted.
Why don't you raise your voice and scream? Because that will make your point. Folks, oh, you didn't know this, folks? Here's a great thing to know. If you're a kid or a child, a spoiled brat, or someone who may be possibly on the autism spectrum disorder, and friends and family, and myself included, but you can learn that this is actually not the case. It may feel like this is the case, but it's actually not the case. Raising your voice, J.Scott Garibay and also Scott Miller, does not actually increase the validity of the bullshit statements that you're making, right? Children think that because they're children, right? Some members of the current administration seem to think that, like that hot. I'm sexually attracted to crazy. It's got me in a lot of trouble. This press secretary, nothing offsets a cross like a great set of cans and an absolute disregard for reality. Maybe that's why I love watching J.Scott Garibay videos so much. Not into the dude, but I'm getting off on a tangent.
Content creator at the cusp of the largest project that had ever been launched in Dungeons & Dragons.
The biggest project that's ever been launched in Dungeons & Dragons. Critical Role was the biggest project that's ever been launched in Dungeons & Dragons. Bigger than 5th edition. Bigger than the launch of Dungeons & Dragons itself. Bigger than the Dungeons & Dragons movie. Either of them. Not saying they were successful, but I'm saying what they were. Bigger than that huge video game they just had. Not they had, but not the VTT, but that big video game, whatever that thing is, I still haven't played. I'm supposed to play. Bigger than Baldur's Gate, right? Any of those editions, right? Bigger than the Saturday morning cartoon show? Come on. You're yanking you are J.Scott Garibay? Yeah, I'll go get the nurse.
Nothing connected to Dungeons & Dragons has made more money or been more successful than Critical Role.
I don't think that's true, right? Nothing's made more money than Critical Role. You know what? I know this slows down, a la Orion Okaba going shopping. See what I did there? But let's go ahead and go ahead and just Critical Role. Critical Role. We're going to do some some deep diving on the finances here. Let's just take a moment here, folks. I know this slows this thing down. Here we go. You're sexually attracted to crazies. Okay, so hopefully you don't have a gay crush on JSG. No, I don't, because that's not why I'm commenting here. Sure, you're not. I gotta fix my hair. Hold on. I gotta watch out for the people that might be sexually attracted to me. Here we go. Yeah, JSG's nuttiness is contagious. If you obsess too much, become judgmental, and won't look into his strange diatribes objectively. Thank you. You know what? I needed that. Astrology tells me a lot. Orion Akaba, date of birth 10/14/1980. Okay. Oh, she's in one fucking episode, right? Okay, she's in one episode. We got XR Prime taking us on a magical trip through astrology. Let me do this. I just do want to do a critical role. I just want to do a little bit of a deep dive to see if we can set something on the. We've got some questions about their finances. I want to see if we can do figure out if we can see like how let's do some small measure of their success, just so we can have like a teachable moment on figure out like how off base he is on whether or not Critical Role is the most successful thing that ever happened to D&D. And I'm only going to do this for like a minute to see if they were one of the highest. Okay, check this out. Okay, here we go. A leak of Twitch. A leak. Now I yearn. A leak of Twitch data in October 2021 revealed that Critical Role is amongst the highest earners on Twitch. The company received a total direct payout of $9,626,712 between September 2019 and September 2021 from Twitch in gross income from subscriptions and ad revenue. BBC News commented that this list of payments is unlikely to account for tax paid on income, and that many, if not all, of these top streamers are effectively large-scale media operations with their own employees and business expenses, so the numbers do not represent take-home pay for those listed. But anyway, even if we put them at $10 million for those 3 years, 2019, 2020, 2021, like $9.5 million over the course of 3 years. That compared to other D&D things, I don't know what D&D makes. Here we go. How much does D&D make? Question mark. D&D's revenue is significant. This is AI overview. D&D's revenue is significant and has grown considerably over the years, with estimates suggesting it contributes between $100 and $150 million annually to Wizards of the Coast's overall revenue. Fuck you. See, Scott, you see how off base you are? You see how off base this guy is? God bless you, J.Scott Garibay. God bless you. God bless you. XNR Prime, greetings. I made it a point that JSG's recent intense obsessive videos, Orion Akaba, was synchronized with the full moon in Libra, transiting to the Libra-Pluto conjunction in Orion Akaba's natal horoscope. Whoa. Switching to post-agent Gen Xer, the question I've been asking is, what does Scott do when Orion Akaba is not returned to the table for campaign 4? We will be watching, which would be about Orion Akaba's 44 and a half year birthday. Hey, that I'm into numbers, and I'm especially into number 44 is a good one, which would be about, there you go. Do you study much astrology? Do you know what JSG's natal horoscope might be? He's 55 years old. Really? You know his date of birth? I don't, but we know that J.Scott Garibay's full name is out there. Let Google be your guide. Jonaside lets us know that he'll be 55 in June. Voice actors, so not real actors. Here we go. Critical Role's lame. I won't hardly watch any of it. I thought it was ironic that the featured YouTube video on Orion Akaba is a 30-second clip of Orion remarking about Tiberius Stormwind getting a half chub. There you go. A half chub. A half chub at that. Here we go. Remember, folks, we're potentially about to be mentioned as a community insofar as you consider yourself a community of mine. Let's see what happens. And the beat goes on.
You need to understand, right? Oh, wait, what about the product itself? People don't care about the books. People barely read them.
People don't care about the books. People barely read them. What? I thought you were the biggest D&D super fan, but now apparently you don't even care about that, dude. Are you some sort of fraud? Are you some sort of intellectual fraud? Because I pointed out that you didn't know the rules, dude.
There are probably more of them on shelves unread than are used. That's all tabletop role-playing games, by the way, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
And then, there's a very few people extremely passionate about the core rulebooks, right? I'm extremely passionate about the core rulebooks, and every
You're so passionate about the core rulebooks, you say things about them that aren't true.
book that has the red ampersand or the black ampersand. I am incredibly, really dialed in on canon D&D hardbacks, right? Most people do not care, right? And we don't even know the numbers. We don't know how much money they make, right? Scott, wasn't it?
We do know. You just refuse to believe that in the new numbers, because the new numbers indicate that Dungeons and Dragons seems to be going out the door. You refuse to believe this.
The $207 million, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves bigger than Critical Role? No. I'm not sure more people saw that, but we didn't have seen Critical Role, right?
Well, it's just, you know what I mean? I love my baby mama. I'll never let her go.
And if you take all the views for Critical Role has far more views.
Far more views. I'm bigger than sliced bread. You know what I mean? I'm being suppressed by the algorithm. You know what I mean?
They are a multi-platform global corporation, and
they're not.
Were that 10 years ago. They were like, at the beginning, nobody knew it was going to be successful. They knew it was going to be successful. That was Felicia Day. She was already a millionaire.
Where's she now? Where's Geek and Sundry? Go look. There's a documentary about how Critical Role went their way and that Geek and Sundry has been gone the wayside.
What from? A Sears commercial, right? Well, this is one of the problems why I'm getting so frustrated with this conversation. So many people are shockingly ignorant of what they're talking about.
In the sense that they keep on telling you, here's the reality of the situation, and here's how it differs from what you keep on saying, which is insanity in a can, insofar as it doesn't comport with reality. And that's upsetting to you, because you would prefer if, I don't know, people told you that you were right. Is that what happens to you at home?
I saw some dude the other day. Like, this happens a lot. People are like, oh.
Here we go. Here we go, folks. Here we go. One moment in time. Do. All right, folks, here we go. Get ready for it. I'm the bad guy who's about to mention. Go for it.
Oh my gosh, Scott's content is incredibly engaging and compelling, right? So rather than me make content, I'll just literally talk. I'll just play his video.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I'm playing your content because you're compelling. You are compelling. But here we go. Slam me, dude. Butt bang me against the wall. Make fun of me. It's going to hurt my feelings so bad. I'm going to be reeling.
Talk and give my opinion on it. Hey, I get it. I'm a fascinating guy. Okay, if you got to do that, I understand.
You're absolutely fast. I don't have to do it. I do it by choice. By choice.
Right? Like, or I wish people, I don't know. It's a very complicated subject. I don't know.
It's not a complicated subject. I explained it. I was making TTRPG content, TTRPG content, and no one was watching. I realized that if I made videos about you, like people like to watch videos about people making videos about fascinating people, that it was probably going to be a great way to make my channel grow. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I was watching you anyway, so I might as well watch you with other people.
My take on that. I pity you if you have to run my. I don't run other people's stuff and comment. I give you my.
I don't think you can. You make your videos in your car. You can't live stream. Make a live stream. I make a live stream. There's other people here agreeing with me and talking to me and interacting with me because I'm a fascinating, entertaining kind of guy. You make videos talking to you, your camera, your phone. That's why you don't make videos playing other people, watching other things. I don't know why. Actually, I don't. You know what? I take that back. I don't know why you don't do that. You could if you wanted to. It's not like you don't comment about other people. It's not like you don't comment about other people, dude. You called Matt Mercer and all those other people pieces of shit. So it's not like you don't talk about other people, bro. You're not better than me. You comment about other people all the time, bro. You just don't watch the videos.
I kind of have a lot. I kind of feel like if you need to run my video, right, and then comment over it, you probably won't have much to say on your own, right? Like
I got plenty to say on my own. But when I do it about TTRPGs, no one wants to watch those videos. It is what it is, bro.
So I think that's my overall take on people who do that. But this guy was like, oh, he just mentioned somebody by the name of Brian Foster. I wonder who that is. You ignorant butts. Like, what the heck?
I'm an ignorant putz because I didn't know who Brian Foster was. Meanwhile, if you watch all my content and the only thing you choose to respond to is the fact that I didn't know who Brian Foster was, and I knew about the story about what's-her-face having, there was a bad interaction with some dude. Meanwhile, Brian Foster, I did do my own research. Well, look at this.
Heck, if you don't know the basic language, the basic structure of what we're talking about, why are you bothering, right? Like, do DYOR, right?
Do your own research. Meanwhile, do your own research. I proved that you didn't know what the fuck was up with the rules that you claim prevented Matt Mercer from being able to take over Tiberius Stormwind. Wrong. You were wrong. And I'll cover your inability to understand what the Dark Tower TTRPG says. Wrong. You're wrong. You don't know how intellectual property works. You don't know how canon works. I've picked apart a lot of your basic analysis of shit. But you're going to come up with the fact that I don't know who Brian Foster was. Well, maybe I didn't know who Brian Foster was because they took all of his content down. They took literally everything down. You want me to look up who Brian Foster was again? Brian Foster was the dude who was like, Brian Foster. The case against Brian Foster. This guy is Brian Wayne Foster. Here we go. Wikipedia. There you go. Brian Wayne Foster, blah, 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 blah. First, you have to go through all these different Brian Fosters. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. He was the former host, and he was not even a member of Critical Role. He was a dude who did whatchamacallit, like a talk show before the show started. Okay. And then after he was in a relationship with one of the people on the show, and then they accused him of all these things. So when he got accused of all those things, they took down all of his friggin' content. So now all of his content is not available. So why the fuck would I know who the hell the guy was? But I did know that there was a negative interaction between one of the hosts and something, whatever. But that's what you're going to, and to be totally frank and honest, I don't remember saying I don't know who Brian Foster was. I do remember saying there was another guy who I didn't know who it was. But guess what? Why am I doing this? Because I'm not interested in Critical Role. I'm interested in picking apart your fucking ass. Because you say this crazy shit like people don't matter. You're an evangelical Christian, but internationals don't matter. People from countries with a lot of sand don't matter. FYI. Let me think of someone from a country with a lot of sand. Oh, that's right. Jesus.
Unbelievable. Okay, sorry. Let me stay focused. All right. So here's the issue.
Good luck with that, homie.
Where we're landing is that he was a contracted content creator at the cusp of the largest Dungeons & Dragons project in history. Critical Role is
incorrect. You are demonstrably and objectively incorrect. You have a fantasy about Critical Role and a fixation on Critical Role. You are objectively incorrect. You keep on saying the word literally. You can literally say the word literally all the time and won't literally make it literally the case that what you're saying is literally true. It is objectively the case that you're saying a ton of stuff that is objectively and literally not reality. You need help because you're making an ass out of yourself on the internet and making it incredibly easy for me to pick apart the fact that you don't know what you're talking about, bro.
The most successful thing that has ever been attached to Dungeons and Dragons.
A ridiculous statement that makes absolutely no sense unless we take into account that it's being said by a person who is not connected to reality. Also, again, 2 hands on the wheel while we're driving if we care about our safety and the safety of other people on the road.
Need to understand that. It has made...
We don't need to understand anything about anything associated with Critical Role because it is a crazy live stream about a game played by people.
At least, I think it has made probably close to 20 to 30 millionaires. And nothing.
20 to 30 millionaires? Okay, bro. You know what? David Lynch's Dune was actually the most successful movie of all time. It was because of the success of David Lynch's Dune that mankind was finally able to reach Mars and invent teleportation technology. That's how my mom, the cat queen, met my dad, J.Scott Garibay. Oh, everything I just said wasn't true. It was just an illustrative point to make you understand that you are an ignorant fool.
Nothing else in Dungeons & Dragons has done that, right?
Yeah. I think there are other things in Dungeons & Dragons that have made people millionaires. You know who didn't actually become like quite a millionaire? My understanding is that Gary Gygax, I don't know if died a millionaire. I don't know if Dave Arneson died a millionaire, right?
You can't become a millionaire like Jeremy Crawford and Chris Perkins. Just quit because you could bet those guys are not millionaires. They wrote the...
They're not. They were paid very well. I don't know. You don't know what it takes to become a millionaire, and I don't think there's a lot of people who understand that there are a lot of ways that you can, if you spend your money wisely and you save your money, you can become... The definition of a millionaire is a person who has $1 million in liquid assets, right? And different things, you know? You can become a millionaire. $1 million isn't what it used to be. It's not like we're in the days of fucking Carnegie Mellon and all that shit, you know?
The book that Critical Role uses, and none of them are... I doubt the two of them together even have half the money of House and Jaffe, right? Do you understand this? Right? So this...
No, I don't understand. I have no idea what you're talking about. Chris Perkins was at Dungeons & Dragons since the 90s. He was the lead designer on 5th edition, right? Or whatever. You have no idea what these guys got paid. And they quit. They got fired. Who knows? Whatever, dude.
Say he was a problem player that was getting kicked off of a kitchen table is absurd. He was a contracted, okay? A contracted.
You don't know. You have no idea what the contracts were, what they said, what they didn't say. And regardless, what we do know is the guy got shit canned, apparently, for being a problematic player after 27 episodes. So whatever golden ticket he had, he fucked it up. Did you fuck up shit in your life? I fucked up plenty of shit in my life by being what? A problematic employee, problematic boyfriend, problematic fiance, problematic family member, problematic member of the band. You know what I mean? All sorts of things I fucked up real bad.
Content creator engaged in building a D&D canon realm and creating the most compelling narrative that had ever been written with Dungeons & Dragons.
If you think that's the most compelling narrative that's ever been written in regards to Dungeons & Dragons, man, you know, hey, it is what it is, bro.
Okay? The people involved knew what they were doing. They didn't think, oh, I wonder if this will work. This was Felicia Day. She was already a millionaire, already successful with the guild.
Therefore, if she was already a millionaire, then she knew everything about everything already. You know what I mean? Okay.
Oh, I think at that point she had already started on Supernatural. She was a for realsies Hollywood.
On Supernatural? Oh, man, that amazing show on the WB? Fucking A. And everybody knows, like everyone else associated with geek-centric stuff, Felicia Day is absolutely 100% the most beautiful woman that ever existed.
Actress dealing with for realsies Hollywood actors. There were
for realty Hollywood actors.
millions, if not billions of dollars on the line, and they knew it then, right? Him getting exiled from the table was not a problem player getting exiled, a problem player being sent away from the kitchen table. The ramifications of it were massively larger than that.
Remember when Charlie Sheen got kicked off of what was it? What was it? That show with Charlie Sheen on it, and then there was that kid who became a Seventh-day Adventist, and Ducky from Pretty in Pink, or Hiding Out. I liked him in that movie. And then there was that, and there was that. The other time those other people got kicked off of shows because they were on crack.
And this is my point, right?
What's your point?
I am all in on this quest to return Orion Akaba to the table because it's bigger than you understand.
It's clearly bigger than I understand.
This is not about Orion Akaba. This is not about what I want.
It's not about Orion Akaba?
This is not about the comfort of Critical Role players and Dungeon Masters. This is literally about...
It's not about dungeon... What?
Saving American male lives.
Again, back to it's about saving American male lives. We have to return Orion Akaba to the table because that's how we're going to save American male lives. It's not by addressing income disparity. It's not by addressing chemical dependence. Or remember, folks, when they did all these Doge cuts, but you see, but we need to sense it's not when they did that. They also cut VA benefits, including cutting down lines of communication between veterans and mental health services, which undoubtedly could contribute to deaths by, service men, deaths of despair. Man voted for Trump. So I think there are other things that we could concentrate on as far as trying to end deaths of despair that might be more effective and efficient ways to achieve those ends rather than returning one dude to a gaming table.
If we get this right, we can end deaths of despair in America.
We can end deaths of despair in America by returning one dude, Orion Akaba, to one Dungeons and Dragons live stream, a live stream which is no longer at its peak of performance. Okay? J.Scott Garibay, you are an LOL COW of the highest order, and more people need to know about your amazing content. You wonderful, unique thinker. I don't think that that's an effective and efficient way to end deaths of despair. I don't think you're going to achieve 100% success in the deaths of despair because, can't win them all. And it is what it is. I hope you're not thinking of doing anything crazy.
Orion Akaba is a template for forgotten American male who made a
He's not forgotten.
mistake and has been exiled into a cage of shame. This is why men are dying every single.
This is not why men are dying every single day. Men are not dying every single day because Orion Akaba is not the Critical Role table.
Day. It's exactly this, right? They go in and they do something. They work hard. They do something of value, and then they screw up one part, and then the whole society goes, "You suck." You are not.
The whole society go, you suck. First of all, Orion Akaba has worked since since being fired from Critical Role. Dude, you screw up, you lose a job, you lose the gig, you go, you make your amends. Sometimes you get the job back, sometimes you don't. You go on with your life. That happens. You get kicked out of the gaming group. If you want to be successful, you take the advice. Invariably, there have been gaming groups that have kicked you out and have been mean and cruel about it because, dude, this is a community that self-selects for awkward individuals on the spectrum, right, who have communication problems, who can be nasty and mean to each other, who can act out and oftentimes, do onto others what has been done to them as far as, ganging up and, ostracizing, whatever. But without a doubt, there have been times when people have explained to you what you did that caused you to be removed from the group. And what you could have done in those situations, I'm assuming that we're still talking about you are Orion Akaba, is you could have listened to that advice, worked on yourself, gotten yourself your ass into therapy, found a therapy protocol that worked for you, found a medicine protocol that worked for you, stayed on the meds, and then the next time you had an opportunity to get into another gaming group, the probability that you would automatically get bounced again would have been less so. Or, like some people do, don't learn your lesson. Don't take the advice, and then just come into the next situation, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship, or whether it's a complex multi-tier friendship group like a gaming table, and just keep on repeating the same patterns until the exact same pattern repeats itself, where you fuck up, don't listen, don't respect other people's boundaries, don't listen to other people tell you multiple times that you're making people uncomfortable, or that democracy rules, so we're going to do things this way. Insist on things until people have to, unfortunately, as much as they want to be nice to you and don't want to ostracize you, have to kick you out because it's becoming impossible, or they're feeling like you might get violent because you're getting more and more aggravated and angry. Does it sound like I'm telling the truth for you or anyone else that might be listening? Change, or the same things keep on happening? It is what it is, brother.
No longer welcome. And they get tired and they get frustrated and they go take their place at 3 a.m. behind a dumpster in the middle of the night and they freeze to death before the sun rises. It's happened. It happens 7 million times a year, right? And I don't want it to happen to Orion Akaba.
There's no reason to think that Orion Akaba is doing bad. He works. He's still working. Are you telling your story? Because if you are, the solution is not Orion Akaba being returned to the gaming table. The solution is you going to somebody and talking about your problems, a professional somebody, and talking about your problems.
I want American males who are exactly in his position. And I'm there. I've done exactly this. I've done significant things. I've worked hard.
See, I'm there. Listen to the man.
I've done good, and I have effed up badly. And there are people, you can see them in the comments, saying, you suck as a person.
No one's saying you suck as a person. But you keep on, you know what? Actually, I won't say that because some people are saying you suck as a person. But you know what? Fuck those people. But you have to understand, Scott, we've seen you do it today. Do you not hear yourself? Listen to what I'm saying and I'm showing you. I start off these videos saying, I love you as a person, blah, blah, blah. But by the time I've gone through 4th videos where you're insulting people, you're doing the voice, and you're saying things like Americans matter and internationals don't, it fucking hurts. It can hurt your soul, and it makes people not want to like you. Eventually, you're not going to be welcome at the conventions. Eventually, enough people are going to watch these videos. You're going to sit down at the convention table, and people are going to say, I'm not going to play with this fucking asshole. And eventually it's going to come around to it. Eventually, someone is going to call someone who knows someone at somewhere where you work. Someone's going to look and they're going to say, this guy says that international people don't matter. Only people in America matter. And people say it all the, I got fired because I like Trump. I got fired. People don't invite me to the Thanksgiving table because I voted for Trump. And it's hardly ever that. It's not that you support Trump. It's not that you're conservative. It's because you show up to the Thanksgiving table and you scream about Trump. You scream about this, and people are like this, and homosexuals are like that, and people with pink hair are like this, and the lesbians and the transvestites and the transsexuals. It's the other things.
Just vicious attacks, right? And they're saying, you don't get a second chance. The ramifications of this are massive, absolutely massive. Orion Akaba was not a problem player being kicked.
He was a problem player. He brought a fucking flamethrower to a confined, he brought a dangerous instrumentality without permission to a confined space. And you know what? Even if he wasn't a problem player, you know what happens, Scott, in the real world? Sometimes people get fired from gigs.
kicked out off of a kitchen table. He was a contracted original content.
Contracted players get kicked off. You know what? Guess who didn't come back to see from season 1 to season 2? That dude, that person you liked. I'm trying to think off the top of my head of somebody, like an example of someone that, like, on a show that I liked that didn't come back. It happens. Oh, they were there for that season and they didn't come back. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get poochied.
Creator at the cusp of the largest Dungeons and Dragons project that has ever been launched.
Keep on saying a lie like it's going to become true, right? Munchies was much bigger than Gremlins. Ghoulies was much bigger than Gremlins. No one remembers Gremlins today, but everyone remembers Ghoulies. Ghoulies Goes to College? That thing made like $40 million. I think it won an Oscar. Did Ghoulies win an Oscar? Don't even worry about looking it up on Wikipedia. Trust me, it won an Oscar.
Nothing in 10 years has been bigger than it or more successful, including a Paramount film where they...
The Paramount film? What the fuck?
Paid one guy $11 million. Wait, that was...
Then by definition, it made more than Critical Role, because Critical Role apparently made $9.5 million approximately over the course of 3 years. So your argument's negated. Thank you.
Respond, right? I'm telling you, there's a lot here. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'm a Fetch Millennium.
I think this dude's tweaking. Anyway,
friends, it's your pal, Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk
about... Let's see. Blueberry Wolfbird, JK, no intro. What gives you any idea that J.Scott Garibay pays the least bit of attention to you? He mentioned someone playing his videos and commenting over them. I'm not aware of anyone. Well, actually, you're right. So other people do that too. I think that he was referring to me. I may be incorrect. Have you ever encountered him personally? Who has? Who knows him well? Who truly supports him? He's a dad with a big family? Oh, he's a dad with a big family. He says that he's got 4 kids, and I assume he's married. It is what it is. I mean, what can I tell you? I think you're absolutely right. Here you go. There's method to how JSG baits people into obsessing about him, I think you're right. Ever notice how J.Scott Garibay very selectively responds to his critics as though he's got a filter on certain topics? He's a player. He's not stupid. Insane, but not stupid. Fair enough. I think you're onto something. Hey, Checks Chambers, I'd be really happy if you made more TTRPG content, Ben. It was your Troika videos that brought me here. My favorite rules, by the way. I love it, and I would love it if you were not the exception, right? Hey, Xnard Prime, you know what? I do not think that you are, that you're wrong. You know what I mean? That's part of it. It is a fascinating conundrum. Here we go. Let me see. Let me go over my notes to see, because we're getting long in the tooth, and I want to make sure that we just hit. We got that one. Okay. Oh. Okay, well, yeah, we'll just do one more. We'll just do this one more in American politics, and then we'll get out because I just want to do this. He did say, okay, here we go. We got this one. Wait. Slow down, Scott Garibay, because he says one thing that I think is interesting. Then we'll cut it out. We're at the 2 hour mark, so we'll do this, and we'll cut out this because he says one thing that I think is interesting. Mario Heat, how you doing, baby? We see you, Mario Heat. This is called American Politics. Where are we right now? And what exactly is happening? I don't know, Scott. Tell us.
Hi, friends. This is your pal.
Fair use, fair use, fair use. Transformative work, transformative work, transformative work. Let's see what's going down. This was fast. Oh, we're going to go right to the 4-minute mark because that's where I got the thing. Why waste our time with 4 minutes of filler when we can just cut right to the thing? I'll go to 3.5 minutes and we'll pick it up from there. Fairy tales can come true, can happen to you. He's wearing a different shirt in this one, so I think that this is a video that he recorded at a different moment in time, but he just uploaded it as part of this sequence because he had a previous video about American politics. And then I'll just give you a synopsis on the other video that he did where I'll just give you a synopsis because it just talks about his take on the elasticity of D&D canon, where basically it's if any actor appears in anything associated with D&D, then anything that actor appears in subsequent to that is a D&D canon thing as well, which of course is an insane thing to say.
Diplomacy, the defense of every European nation, right? All that's up in the air. Nobody knows what's going to happen with any of it.
So what this leading up to this is this basically was basically a glaze job for Donald Trump, and that if you don't understand the tariffs or what's happening, he was basically just doing the job of the American press secretary. Oh, well, you think the tariffs are going bad? You think that Americans are worried? They're not, and everything's going to be fine. There's all these countries, like billions and billions of countries, who are dying to trade with us, and if you don't hear that on the news, it's because the news is like cooked and it's they're lying to you about what's really going on because they're evil. But he's about to tell us about Joe Biden and all the problems that existed with Joe Biden, and he's going to say something interesting about Joe Biden that I think is fascinating.
Right now, you're like, well, why would he do this? Why would he just flip the table? Because we were. You're like, and you're right. You're right. Flipping the table seems extreme. That is.
Now he's currently still talking about Donald Trump. Just bear that in mind.
It's like an extreme response, right? So how would we end up here? President Joseph Biden.
We ended up here because of Joseph Biden. We're in the current state of American politics with all the turmoil of the stocks and everything because of Joseph Biden.
The worst president we ever had because he wasn't a president.
Joseph Biden was the worst president we ever had because he wasn't a president.
He wasn't making. We know now. Like nobody needs to pretend now. He didn't make a single decision.
He didn't make a single decision. We know that now. Joseph Biden didn't make a single decision.
Not reading any documents, right? He wasn't signing anything, right?
He wasn't signing anything. He wasn't reading a single document. We know this. How do we know this? I don't know.
He was literally an old man with a shawl sitting on the porch sipping tea.
He was literally an old man sitting on the porch with a shawl sipping tea. Now, I don't know if J.Scott Garibay knows what the term literally means, but for Joseph Biden to literally be an old man sitting on a porch with a shawl sipping tea, of course, he would need to be what, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between? He would need to be an old man sitting on a porch with a shawl sipping tea. If anyone can produce one photograph of former President Joseph Biden sitting on a porch with a shawl sipping tea, I'll suck your dick. I'm not going to suck anybody's dick this year, as much as I'd like to, because no one's got that photo.
He was not a real leader, which then begs the question: who was?
He was not a real leader. Well, now we've it's called switching. It's called moving the goalposts. We went from him literally being an old man with a shawl sitting on a porch sipping tea to him not being quote unquote a real leader, which is a subjective analysis of a person's leadership skills, right? It is what it is. I don't think Donald Trump is a real leader, but again, that's just getting into subjective, analysis of who is or who's not a real leader. You know what I mean? But what do we say? If Joseph Biden wasn't a real leader, who was the real leader behind Joseph Biden, who we were told was the president? J.Scott Garibay is going to tell us who the real leader behind Joe Biden was. It's a fascinating answer. I don't think he's lying when he tells us what he thinks. Well, what do I know? I'm just going to take him at his word.
Right, and we'll go back to my favorite explanation. It was a witch, an AI, or an alien. Right, like that.
A witch, an AI, or an alien.
That's the only three options, right? Like
those are the only three options. Well, couldn't it have been Satan? No. It was a witch, an alien, or an AI. Those are the only three options. Could it have been, say, a warlock? No. Witch, AI, or alien? Phantasmical ghost? No. Are you fucking stupid? A witch, an alien, or an AI? Could it have been a ghost in a golden bikini? I don't know. Is a ghost in a golden bikini a witch, an alien, or an AI? No. Then it wasn't that answer.
I'm telling you, something was eluding America, and the answer was extremely dark, right?
Someone was extremely dark. I don't know. A witch? Like, hello, Bewitched? That chick wasn't that dark. Right? She was kind of, yeah, you know what I mean? Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Or her like minders, those two ants, they were kind of cool. They were, you know what I mean? I was into the one, not like the lead one, the other one that was kind of chubby. I liked her a lot. There's Glenda the Good Witch, right? I forget her cardinal direction, right? There's all sorts of witches all over the place that are not. And AIs, you know what I mean? There was that AI, the little Haley Joel Osment. He was okay. He wasn't, you know what I mean? He wasn't a dick. He just wanted his mom to love him, right? And that gigolo he hung out with, that guy wasn't bad. The Oracle and aliens. Hello, ET. Fuck you. Yoda, technically an alien, depending on your point of view and perspective. Paul, right? The guy that hung out with Simon Pegg. He was an alien. The Close Encounters from the Third, those guys were okay. None of those guys were dark. I'm not saying there are not dark aliens out there. The Predators, when they fought the aliens with, you know what I mean? The Predators by themselves were not that groovy. But when they went against the Xenomorphs, they were kind of like on our side. Right? So what the hell is he talking about?
So dark that I'm happy that the table was flipped.
Well, then you are a schmuck, because whatever was going on with Joe Biden, I don't know. Sleepy Joe? I don't mind sleepy presidents if they're not like this guy.
The situation was so bad under Joseph Biden, right?
It was so bad. It was so bad. It was terrible. Oh my God. I can't. Thank God that craziness of Joe Biden is over.
Like we literally had a term for it, Manchurian candidate, right?
The term Manchurian candidate does not refer to people like Joseph Biden. The term Manchurian candidate is someone who's brainwashed and then comes back and like does an assassination. Who did Joe Biden kill?
He never led for a single day, right? He was not a real leader, which means that something was running America that nobody knew what, right? That's really bad, right?
Like, unlike now where we kind of know it might be someone like, I don't know, like Elon Musk, who is like an alien, a witch. I don't know. The only thing, AI, whatever.
That is so bad that you can flip the table exactly as Trump has done, right? And I need you to understand this, right? Trump is not doing some, like 3D chess, situation. He's saying the system is broken, right? I'm going to flip the table and everybody's going to scramble for the pieces.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get political. I just wanted to hear us all hear J.Scott Garibay say that it was a witch, an alien, or an AI. That was it. That was it. Mario Heat. We need late night J.Scott Garibay reactions. Those are the best. It's great that someone psychoanalyzes J.Scott Garaby's BS to some degree, but at some point, for God's sakes, give him a rest. Hey, Xnar Prime. Speaking about troll lords, don't think I don't. I'm watching you too. I hear you. I hear you, Xnar Prime. You can keep me straight. You can keep me straight too. Tim Frey. So bad that we didn't even have a stock market crash. No. I would never confront the dude. I would never confront the dude. And I'll tell you something else. Eknar Prime. I'll be completely honest with you. The actual performance of these videos will determine how long this there are two things that we're watching at this point. The J. Scott Garibay lol cow analysis arc on my channel will be entirely based on performance. Now, we have to take some things into consideration. The long form nature of the streams. It may be the case that a more professional YouTuber would break it up into chunklets, right? But I'm not a more professional streamer. We got to see what happens. If these videos don't perform well, I won't do it forever. You know what I mean? And eventually, I'm interested in there's two short videos that he did on a tabletop game that I actually have called Dark Tower, where he just describes it just so incorrectly. If he keeps on just doing Orion Akaba stuff, it'll get like just terminally old. We'll see. If the videos, if people get attracted to it and it performs, like, it's all theoretical. If the videos perform, then I'll keep on covering him. And people who say, give the guy a break, it'll be like, it's nothing. I'm not, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm not like Frank Hassel. Giving the guy a break is you don't cover a person. You give a guy a break if you're like coming up to him in the bar or you're constantly giving him shit in the diner. That's give the guy a break. You cover a guy, you cover a guy. He wants to put shit out. If it's performing, I'm going to cover the dude until he does something affirmatively, like says, I can't take it anymore. These videos are my only outlet, but I can't handle people commenting on my shit. Now I can't do anything. I feel like I'm bottled up inside. I'm going to explode, but there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. It would be at that point where I'd say, okay, I'm not going to cover this guy because you know what I mean? I'm not trying to hurt anybody. The Emperor. I will interpret this card in the following manner. We observe ourselves We observe the lay of the land. And we perform. If we do our job well, if we delegate responsibly, if we're not capricious, if we are as wise as we can be, and if the heavens bless us, things will be auspicious and we will be remembered well. If we are blinded by ambition, we become sullied by rage, we see only our dreams and only that which we desire to be the case, the land will go fallow. Our endeavors will come to naught, and the peasants, either out of superstitious ignorance or because it is the natural way for things to be, will pull us from our perch, feed us to the bog, so that the land may be fed and someone better may rule in our stead. Until next time, I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is me. Take care of yourselves. Keep it real. Keep it humble. Keep it rolling. Let me know what you think, pro or con, in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, in addition, like and subscribe in addition to those comments. And I'll catch you on the next one. I hear you. Don't let the bastards get you down.